Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is file. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we can use this verb. The first meaning for the verb file is to place a document in a cabinet or a box or a folder, something else, and you're doing it in a particular order in order to keep this document and consult it, read it again, refer to it at a later time. This action used to happen a great deal in doctors' and dentists' office, lawyers' offices as well, where they would sort of keep this ongoing record for their clients or their patients. Now, a lot of filing is done electronically, but you will still see paper files. A second meaning for the verb file is to submit a legal document or some type of application or a charge to be placed on an official record with a certain authority. So this could be a government, could be federal or national government, could be at a state or a local level. A third way to use the verb file is to send a story to a newspaper or a news organization. So this usage is going to be used very narrowly in the field of reporting, right? So journalists might use this story that they need to file a story, or they're going to file a story by a certain date and time. A fourth way to use the verb file is to mean to make something smooth or remove something by grinding, so softening it. I think as we look at some of the noun definitions, this particular usage will make a little more sense later. You should know that file is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, we're going to drop the E and then add ing to form filing. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding D. We're not adding an ed here since this verb already ends in an E. The base verb, file, makes this voiced L sound. So our past tense ending is just going to make a D or D sound. It should sound like this: filed, filed. Now let's take a look at some phrasal verbs with file. The first one we'll look at is file away. This relates back to the first definition we looked at the verb. Its meaning is to put a document in the correct place for storage in some type of filing system. Here's an example of this phrasal verb in a sentence. The administrative assistant has filed the paperwork away. Another phrasal verb you might hear is file down. This means to reduce the size of something, usually done by rubbing something. Again, this sort of connects back to the fourth definition of the verb. File this edge down so that no one gets cut on it. And so we might imagine something sharp is sticking up, right? So we're going to use a particular tool to remove that sharp point that is sticking up or out. Another phrasal verb you might hear is file for. This means to apply for something legally. Here is an example. The couple filed for divorce in October. Right? So they made a formal application to a court to dissolve or end their marriage. The next phrasal verb we'll take a look at is file into. This means to walk behind other people. It's typically done in an orderly manner. And as into suggests, right, we're going in to a particular place or location. Fans filed into the stadium as soon as the doors opened. Now, this example isn't happening much during the pandemic, right? We don't have large crowds gathering, not here in the United States at least, maybe in New Zealand, where they have done a much better job of handling COVID-19. But here, if we think back a year ago, right? Imagine a major sporting event. People are excited to get in to see the game, right? And so they're walking in, maybe quickly in this case, one behind the next. The opposite of file into is going to be file out. Okay? So this is marching out of a place. And again, as I thought of file into and file out, I thought of examples where I've heard this used a lot connected to sports and major events like concerts. So you're going to see another similar example to file into here with file out. With the home team losing by such a large amount, fans filed out early. Just means they left. They're like, oh, our team isn't going to win. I'm going home. Now we're going to switch and look at how we form WH questions in the future tense. And today we'll focus on making these questions with the be going to form of the future. This week we've been focusing on how to make these types of questions. And I've said I call these more information questions in my class because you can't say yes to any of these questions. You can't say no. But if you tried, it just wouldn't make any sense. To properly answer these questions, you need to give some more information to a person. You're probably going to need the name of a person, the name of a place, an exact time, etc., in order to answer these questions. So that we understand kind of the structure of these questions, I thought it would help if we start with this chart, right? So generally speaking, what we're going to do is take a question word like when, where, why, what. Then we'll use a present form of be. And hopefully you can see with this chart how this matches up. So am will match with I, are matches with you, we, and they, is matches with he, she, and it. Okay, so we're going to take a present form of be, then the subject, then we'll use going to and our base verb. Now, sometimes it will make sense just to end the question there, but other times you might need more information. So I've got a couple examples of those. So as an example of a more information question in the future using be going to, I could start with, when are you going to wear a coat? We could do, where are we going to drive? Question mark. Right? We could ask, why is he going to buy groceries? We could ask, what is she going to study? These are all ways to make more information questions. Let's focus now on making some additional questions, but this time we'll use our verb of the day file. If we want to ask a question about a location, we want to use the question word where. Here is an example sentence. Where are the interns going to file the paperwork? So again, hopefully you can see this nice structure here. Question word, be, subject. The subject here is the interns. And then we have going to and the base verb. If I want to ask a question about time, I'm going to use the question word when. When is he going to file his tax return? Remember, this is this meaning that's like submit. Submit his tax return to the IRS or to the government. If we want to ask a question about the manner in which something is done, we use the question word how. How are they going to file for bankruptcy? So this is a little bit kind of like, what's the process? If we want to ask a question about the reason someone is doing some action, or in this case in the future is going to do some action, we would use the question word why. Why is she going to file that thing down? Okay, so this would go back to that rubbing until something is smooth. We have the determiner what. What are we going to file? Right? What piece of paper? What document? Okay? Again, all of these follow that same structure we looked at earlier. Now we have two questions that sort of break our rule. And that the first one is another determiner. So we're making a choice between two things. Which, right? We'll have to make this question with which. We're going to have which, then sort of the object that we are choosing. Which copy are, there comes our B. Now here is our subject, you going to file. Which copy are you going to file? Now, if I want to know the person who, in this case, will be or is going to be doing some action in the future, this structure is different. So what you should see here is we go be, going to, and then the base verb. Who is going to file a motion? Now, if that phrase file a motion seems unfamiliar to you, don't worry. This is something very specific to the legal world, something an attorney or lawyer would do. But now let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb file. And the first word is just the noun form. Same spelling, same pronunciation. Just like our verb, this noun can have several different meanings. A file could be a folder or box for holding loose papers that are typically arranged in a certain order for easy reference. And by arranging in a certain order, it might be alphabetical. So we put all the A's first, then the B's, then the C's. Okay. Here's an example of this noun in a sentence. Let's check the file for any notes. Okay. Another way to use the word file is in more of a technology connection here. So it's an electronic collection of data or programs that are stored in a computer's memory or on some type of storage device. So a way you might hear this used is in the question, did you save that file? Right? And that file could be something like a Word document, a PowerPoint presentation, an Excel spreadsheet, or anything else. It doesn't have to be Microsoft related. The last meaning for the noun file is a tool with a roughened surface or surfaces that are used for smoothing or shaping something. Now, again, this connects back to that fourth definition we said where we make something smooth by rubbing it. And I thought maybe it could be helpful to have a couple of pictures. So I've got two different pictures for us to look at. On the left side, bottom left side of your screen, we have a nail file. This will be something that's familiar to some people, especially if they like to paint and trim and have manicures or pedicures, right? This object will smooth rough edges on one's nails. Okay? But if we have any viewers that like to build and do some woodworking activities, they might recognize these tools. They are also files. The roughened surface will help smooth the wood that someone's using to construct or build something. Here is an example sentence now with the noun file. The manicurist uses a file before painting the customer's fingernails. So again, this particular usage of file would probably be this. We would hope nobody's going to use one of these on someone's fingernails. That would hurt a great deal. The last word we're going to take a look at today is the noun filer. This is a person who is dealing with an official authority. Okay, so this again sort of comes back to the meaning of submitting a document to a particular authority. Many times you're going to hear this word in reference to tax returns and describing people who have already filed their tax return. And that's going to be our example sentence here. Early filers tend to get their tax refunds more quickly. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.